Welcome to Open Source Marketer. I'm Charles McKeever. Today we're going to talk with Udemy course creator Pete Moxon. Pete made over $100,000 last year creating Udemy courses for SAP, and he's going to give us some insights into how he did that and how the recent changes at Udemy have affected his business. All that and more coming up. And today we're talking with Pete Moxon, SAP developer and author of The Beginning Guide to SAP. Hi Pete, thanks for being here.
Hey Charles, thanks for inviting me. It's good to be here.
Awesome. Now before we talk about the course, I'd like to ask a question that everyone wants to know, and that's how much have you made from your Udemy course?
Let me think. I don't have the exact number, but I think last year, let me open a spreadsheet that I've got here. I was putting a balance sheet together. So here we go. This will give you an idea from for January 2013 to September 2013, the actual course sales. So this is the gross figure, was $93,000. So that was 9 months. And I haven't worked out the figures from that yet going on, so October onwards.
What?
Now that's gross.
Yeah.
The money that I actually made from those courses was $75,500.
Okay.
So there was 20, no, what have I got here? I've got
It's part of that tax.
93,000 sales, 75 to me, and I've got something like 21,000 was, I call it affiliate commission, but that's really Udemy's take. So that's what Udemy made out of me.
Yeah.
So
Udemy takes how much?
Bad.
They take like 20%?
Yeah, they so the reason why I stopped at September is because they actually changed their revenue share with instructors. So when I work it out, it's around about 20% they were taking. Sometimes it was a little more, so it went to 25% some months. But it all depends on how the customer for the course ended up at Udemy and ended up purchasing.
Okay. Well, along those lines then, how many students do you have in your course?
I think now there's about 2,100 students registered across probably about 6 courses I think I've got on Udemy at the moment.
Okay.
And some of those customers, you know, they're not unique. Some have bought multiple courses and things like that. So I would say 2,100 individual course sign-ups. I haven't worked out the individual students yet.
Did they come all through Udemy, or did you send some of them from your site, or how did that work out?
All right, well, I'll explain how Udemy used to work and still does to a major extent. It's they allow instructors to put courses on their platform, and if you drive students to the Udemy platform using a URL that you generate as an instructor, then, as it used to be, I would then receive 85% of the revenue share. Okay, so from that, I had a website, and I drove a lot of my students from my website to Udemy because that was my chosen platform for hosting my courses. So a lot of the students were driven by me. I got 85% revenue share from them, and then Udemy generated customer signups as well. I think they've got ad programs running and just people browsing the site that didn't know about me. If they stumble on my course and sign up, then that's classed as like a Udemy customer. And when that happens, I think it used to be 70% revenue share I used to get from that. So Udemy would get 30%, and that was fine, because without Udemy, I wouldn't have seen that customer anyway.
Right, exactly. So we'll get to how that's affected you in just a moment. But first, I want to kind of give everybody a little bit of background about you, and tell them about the course and how it helps people. So, if you would, tell us about your background.
Okay, so I'm an IT guy. Back in early 2000, I started working with some software called SAP. And for those that don't know, SAP is an ERP software company. enterprise resource planning. So any big organizations, they need to run their business, so they need to run their finance systems, HR systems, all that type of thing. And they don't use off-the-shelf products like we tend to use. They will buy big software products, and SAP is the largest enterprise software company in the world. So I started working with their software back in early 2000. I think 2004, I stopped working for the company and worked on my own as a freelance contractor. And that's what I've been doing ever since, up until recently, where I tried to put the contracting work to one side and just focus on producing training material focused on SAP, but I'm also diversifying into some other areas as well.
Okay, and so you put together this course for SAP based on your background and the things that you already knew how to do.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So when I started in SAP, I started on the technical side. There's various sort of areas of SAP that people go into, pretty much like any software company. You'll have what we call functional consultants who mainly deal with the business side of things and making the systems work with how the business function. But they're not into the technical side of programming and stuff like that. They can configure the system by flipping a few switches and filling out a few fields. I'm making it sound a hell of a lot easier than it really is. But it's more the business analyst type role. And then there's the technical guys, and that's where I fit in. And I started programming SAP, and that's using a language called ABAP, A-B-A-P. Probably not many people have ever heard of it, but it is what the SAP software is written in. It's a bit like C, a little bit of COBOL in there, if anybody remembers COBOL. So I started on the ABAP side, and then after a couple of years moved into analytics. So if we think of Google Analytics, I focused on that side of SAP since about 2003. And doing analytics still involves a lot of programming, but it was more about reporting on company data and letting companies analyze the data that they store on their customers and their business, how it functions. So that's what I've been doing, and I've been generating courses on those topics.
Well, okay. So who do you think this course is for? Who does the target audience for this? Is this somebody who already knows SAP, or somebody who wants to get into it?
I've got a number of courses. I've got some beginner style courses where anybody that wants to get to see SAP software at all can go and take a look. It's a course about a couple of hours long, just called, I think it's Beginner's Guide to SAP, and it shows you how to use the user interface, the GUI tools, to actually navigate around an SAP system. So that's for anybody that's starting to get into SAP. And I've had a few companies as customers for my courses actually use my courses to train their employees on using SAP. And then I go a little bit deeper. So I've got a number of courses, and because I focused on the technical side, the very first course that I produced was showing people how to start to program using the ABAP language. So that takes you from, you need to know a little bit about SAP, how to use it, but it was focused for people with a technical background who want to get into SAP programming, or those functional consultants as well who want to know how the system really works behind the scenes. So that would take people from the very first stage of programming, creating the Hello World application, and then getting a little more complex as time goes by.
So,
and then I built some others, going into object-oriented ABAP and things like that, and then some focused in different areas like the analytics, report writing, and things like that.
That initial course that you created, would you say that was advanced, or was it like a beginner level kind of thing?
It was a beginner level, but I'm trying to think. It probably end-to-end recording of the videos, if you put them all together, is about 13 hours long, which takes quite a bit of going through. And if you were to try and equate that to a normal SAP course, if you were to take it as a classroom-based course, I think SAP spread that type of course over a 5-day period. So it gives you an idea that if you're in a classroom 8 hours a day, it'll take about a week to go through. So it's quite a substantial course, and once you finish it, I know from personal experience, what I teach in that will probably give you about 80% of what you need to know to actually start, using ABAP in a proper company environment. You've always got to go in there and start practicing and doing things yourself to really understand any type of programming at all. But the knowledge in that course is enough to get somebody, well on the way to actually doing it in a career.
How long did it take you to create that course? I mean, if it's 13 hours long for the student to consume, how long did it take you to create it?
Well, trying to think, I probably started creating the course 2014, so 13, 12, I would say at the start of 2012. And it was the first course that I produced, and it was a real steep learning curve. I quickly learned that when I started producing some of the first couple of videos, I learned that what I was doing, did not come across very well at all. So I had quite a few stumbling blocks. I'd record something, scrap it, start again, and doing the first 50% of the course, it must have taken me 7 months, 8 months at least, just to do that. And I was doing it part-time. My work involves me traveling away 5 days a week, staying in hotels. So it was actually really difficult to have an environment where I could create the course material and record the videos properly. So that's one excuse. But the other one was I'd never done it before, so the quality of the video sometimes was crap. The audio, when I started out, was really poor, so I had to scrap it, get a good microphone, start it all again. But it took a fair amount of time to do 50%, and then I came to the end of a project, so it allowed me to spend full time to actually complete the course. And I figured, well, I'm never going to know if the course is going to sell, if I'm going to make any money out of it unless I complete it. So I think it was around about July time, I finished some contract work and then spent the next couple of months completing the course, getting it all edited, and that was a massive pain in itself. I never realized that editing would take so long. And I never realized how many mistakes I would make as well, even though I didn't think I made them. But a couple of months, completed the course, and then managed to get it out on sale.
What about now? And have you created anything recently, and has that changed for you? I mean, are you able to put out things much quicker?
Yeah. So there's the latest course I've done was a free course on how to install your own SAP system on your own PC, and it's probably a bit sad. I did it over the Christmas period, so I think. Trying to think, probably 26th or 27th of December, after the kids had stuffed themselves with chocolate, we visited relatives, I had a bit of free time, so I created a short course. I think it's just short of 2 hours long, but that took me maybe a day to record and then a day to edit afterwards, so really speeded up the process. It was a much easier subject to teach as well, because it was just basically watch what I'm doing on screen and follow exactly what I do. Whereas a programming course, you have to plan out, plan the whole course structure, get example programs working and things like that. So it was a different type of course, but the actual course production editing process is a lot faster now.
Is there you say you have one course that's 13 hours long, and then this one is 2 hours long. Is there a requirement for how long things should be, or how many lessons should be included?
I guess it all depends on the topic. I will say on the Udemy side, they do require you to have they have some minimum requirements that you have to meet. And when I started out, it used to be your course had to be a minimum of 1 hour long and include, I'm guessing here, trying to remember back, it was something like 60 or 70% video content. So it couldn't be just a bunch of PDFs and things like that. Now they've relaxed things. I think maybe 6 months, 8 months ago, they changed it to the minimum requirement was 30 minutes for a course. So you don't have to do tons of content to get a course published on their website. But you know how much value that's going to be. It all depends on the topic. I mean, 30 minutes could be ideal to teach somebody how to do something really fast. If they want to know a certain piece of information, then that's cool. But for the stuff that I do, normally an hour and a half upwards. I'm going to try to keep my future courses a lot lower than the 13 hours because that took an awful long time. But I'm thinking more of a sweet spot of around 4 or 5 hours for my future courses.
I would imagine that people would appreciate that too from a consumption level. They would just be able to at least be, you know, there's always a tendency for us, especially as technical people, to want to throw everything at you, right? Give you as much detail, as much information as possible. But for some people, that's just very overwhelming.
Yeah, it is. I know from a personal experience of learning some other languages, taking Udemy courses myself, when it's something I'm completely new at. And I tell you what, one example is that you'll know the guy, you know, I forgot his name, Jay. Mm-hmm. He does the Mastering Corona SDK, I think it is.
That's a good course.
Yep. So I took his first course that he did, and the videos that he did were great. You know, short snippets, 5 minutes long, something like that. But that sort of made me realize, especially on the Udemy platform, that I can watch a 5-minute video, but then I'm rewinding it, watching little bits again. I'll do a bit of coding. So it takes a lot longer to actually go through a 5-minute lesson. Now, when I started out, some of my lessons, I think, stretched to about 30 minutes. And I know myself, even when I've tried to answer some questions relating to certain lectures, that is way too long. I think if it's maybe a seminar recording or something like that, that type of thing's fine. But when you're trying to learn something technical, or you know, you've really got to pay attention, I think the shorter the actual individual lessons, the better. Definitely.
Okay, that's a good piece of advice for sure. And okay, so we had talked previously about pricing, and you had said that you can set your own price, but that Udemy does some special things that you need to take into consideration. Can you tell us, you know, briefly about pricing, how you set yours?
Yeah. So to begin with, when I joined Udemy, the revenue share was if I sent some traffic, sent a student, and they signed up through my links, I would get 85% revenue share. If Udemy brought in a customer, I would get 70%. They have some other variations as well. If they do some advertising, like Google AdWords or something like that, then my percentage share was a lot lower. I think it went down to something like 30 or 35%, which is fair enough. They had to pay for all the advertising. They also do advertising through deal programs. So if you're familiar with AppSumo and websites like that, they will make a special agreement with AppSumo, any deal site, price certain courses that are in a certain bundle, and you will get a certain percentage revenue share of that. It's a lot lower than normal, but the actual amount of traffic that those type of deals drive do mean that the instructors included on that bundle offer, if you like, actually do very, very well out of it. Unfortunately, I've not had my courses in any bundles. I don't think SAP is such a popular topic that they want to include my stuff.
It's a specialized topic.
Yeah, that's right. But now, September, Udemy changed their revenue share policy with instructors. So instead of getting the 85% for traffic I drive and 70% for Udemy, they've changed it to, I think it's 97% for all the visitors that I drive, or the students, which sounds great. 50% if they send traffic to actually buy my course, which again is not too bad. Now, I know that I drove most of the traffic, most of my students to the Udemy platform, so thinking 97% is going to be a lot better. But the problem is they will only give you 97% if the student purchases within 2 hours of hitting the Udemy website. And this and the student has to be brand new to Udemy. If they have an existing account, maybe brought in through Udemy themselves, maybe a different instructor, then I will only get 50% revenue share. And I was a bit unsure how this was going to work out when they announced the actual change. But I can tell you now that even though most of the students that sign up for my courses do come from my website, this 2-hour window is killing the actual revenue share that I'm getting. So my revenue share is down near 45% now on a monthly basis. So that's quite a big impact. Now, not only that, this has been, what I'm going to say has been the case since I've joined. And anybody familiar with Udemy will know that they do aggressive discounting. So quite often they will offer 75% discounts on a lot of courses. Instructors have the ability to say whether they want to be included in these special promotions or not. So you can say, no, I just want to price the course myself. But you do lose out on a lot of students actually seeing your course and things like that. They do, if you are included in that program, they will promote your course in email broadcasts that they send out. And I think they're up to nearly 2 million sort of subscribed customers now. I don't think they're all paying customers. I think that's what's on their mailing list. But it makes sense to me to actually be included in their promotions, so a lot more eyeballs get to see my courses. So with this 75% offer, I'm not saying they do that all the time. Sometimes they'll do a 50%, 30%, but you'll find the majority is 75%. Well, that means that, let's say I've got a course priced at $100. They drop it down to $25 with this 75% discount, and the customer, the student, is classed as a Udemy student, then I'm receiving $12.50 for a $100 course. So the amount of students that sign up to my courses actually doesn't then give me, a big enough income to think, this is fine for me. Just get the volume in there, because I know my niche is pretty specialized. There aren't hundreds of thousands of people out there that are going to want SAP training from me. So that side of things is killing my sort of revenue that I can get from Udemy a little bit. So that means I've got to price my courses accordingly. So I'm actually now pumping my course prices really high. I'm going to check. I've forgotten exactly what I'm pricing because I keep testing. But let me just have a look at my courses.
Especially in the app space, some people have said, for example, they'll do 99 cents and then they'll raise their price to $1.99, which effectively is doubling their price. But they'll see very little difference in sales, in terms of number of sales. But they are now making double the price of their that they were before. So you kind of have to, playing with the price is definitely something that everybody probably should consider. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, you need to, I guess, really raise your price as much as you can until you start seeing it affect, the actual bottom line. So I'm having a look now. The ABAP course I priced at $199, which is actually still very cheap for an SAP course because they are very expensive when you try and find any SAP courses online. But one of the things I wanted to do as well was make my training affordable to as many people as possible. So trying to bring the price of courses down, is a positive thing for me because I know a lot of people do want to get into the SAP market and just can't afford the actual training courses.
Now, well,
$200 for that one.
Well, let me ask you this. This kind of, I guess, maybe bleeds into this question that I have here. Are you considering bumping back, or how should I say this? In the sales cycle, are you considering collecting the leads before they go to Udemy? Like when they go, especially when they go to your website. So let's say somebody goes to your website and today they click on a link, I guess, and they go to Udemy and they sign up or they don't. Are you considering trying to capture them at some point before they get to Udemy, and then maybe pre-sell them and get them into the Udemy system?
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think. For a couple of years, I've had a website where I've been putting stuff out there, getting some organic traffic to the website. And then when I made courses available, I did exactly that. I captured the email addresses, and then I would send emails out promoting my courses, saying you can get a special deal by clicking on this link, meaning I then become the source of the Udemy customer, and then I would get a better percentage. So I could offer a discount myself, sort of driving people from my email list. But also have links on my website as well, driving people straight to Udemy. And I can customize the links to actually use a certain instructor type coupon code, which then tags that customer as an instructor sourced customer. So I've been doing that since I started on Udemy, and that's why I can say that I actually drive most of the customers direct myself from my own website and my mailing list to become Udemy customers. But because I've seen the revenue share change quite a lot, I've gone and put a new system in place where I'm hosting the courses myself on my own website. This doesn't mean to say I'm going to stop using Udemy at all. It's just that because I know that I drove a lot of traffic there myself, initially I was happy with the 75% to 80% revenue share. I was happy to let Udemy handle all the technical side, hosting the courses and things like that. But now it's dropped down, 45, 50%. I think I'm missing a trick if I don't try and capture that money myself. So I've set up a system. I'm using my website is based on WordPress, but the actual system I'm using is being developed. It's quite a new system by a developer. You can't see a website because he hasn't got one promoting this product. He's got in touch with a few sort of big, I guess in my eyes, big names who have courses online, not through Udemy, elsewhere. So he's got some decent-sized customers where he's getting a revenue share from every transaction going through his system. But the system itself, I'll cut to the chase, it's pretty much like Udemy. Very, very simple interface for me to upload courses. I can see a list of all the customers that come to my website. I can track them when they sign up for my courses on my own website. I get to see I capture their email address. I can tag them with whatever I want, saying they've taken this course, or maybe they're just a prospect. So doing that, implementing that myself means, one, I can get more of the revenue for myself, but I'm capturing the student's email address when they do sign up. I'm marking them as a buyer. They've put their hand in their pocket, got out their credit card, and and done a transaction. On Udemy, it's completely different. You can send messages to customers, but you do not capture their email address or anything like that. So
they really own your customer.
They do, yeah.
That's a pretty common thing these days. People are very concerned about platforms that A, can change their terms anytime that they want, and B, own the customer. So if you're setting up a business based on that model, it's very precarious because you kind of behold it to whatever they decide.
That's right. Yeah.
And there's a lot of even app developers have learned that and are beginning to sort of back things out a little bit and try to sell physical products along with their apps, or try to collect customer information on their site before they send them to the app store. Anything that they can do to kind of make sure that they have a more solid business model. I think it's imperative that
for anybody who wants to make a decent living online, or make or any business really, they've got to own their own customer database.
Yeah, yeah.
You've got to have it. You can't rely on a third party at all. And I think looking back over the years, Google is the prime example for all the people making money out of AdSense and things like that. SEO, all that type of thing, backlinking, because Google change the rules on what they allow, what they don't allow. They're changing their algorithms for SEO. If you don't own your customer database, if you don't own the traffic itself, then you're getting a real hard boot up the backside, and you just lose out.
Yeah, well, you get that one-time sale, which obviously you like you said, you have from January to September of last year, you definitely made a respectable amount of money, and even with the changes at Udemy, it sounds like you still have a good revenue stream coming in. But they always say it's easier to keep to have a customer and sell to a customer that you already have than to go out and continually try to find new customers. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah. If Google give you a penalty on your website and you're nowhere in the search engines, then unless you've got your own email list,
yeah,
I mean, you're dead in the water.
Right, exactly. Well, okay. Well, speaking of which, where can people go to find more information about your SAP courses?
Well, I would say people watching this are really not going to be that bothered about SAP.
Okay.
You never know, but they can go to saptraininghq.com. They can see my website and see how I've got things structured there. But I have another course, I think I mentioned at the start, that I want to sort of move out or stretch beyond SAP. So I have another website, and that's called nichespin.com.
Okay. And
I tried a different course because I'm a developer from the enterprise side. I love new technologies and things like that. So one thing I got into was magazine publishing on the iPad. So I've used Newsstand to actually create a few blogs, a few videos about how to create a magazine app on the iPad without being charged hundreds or thousands of dollars, which a lot of services out there do charge for a Newsstand app. So I produced a course showing people how to create a Newsstand app. You need to be a little bit techie. You need to know how to open Xcode and things like that. But there's no real programming involved. It's just follow my instructions, and then lo and behold, you'll magically create a magazine that you can have on on the App Store. So I created a course, and that was called How to Make a Digital Magazine. So if you go to nichespin.com, you'll be able to see that course. There's lots of videos actually on that website, me showing people how it all works. Lots of free stuff. And I created an application as well to help speed up the whole process. So converting, it's a little tool that helps people input a PDF, and then it'll spit out lots of HTML5 pages that you can then just plug into your magazine app. So once it's published, every month, every week, every day if you want, could do a newspaper. If you've got the PDF, spit it through this application, and then you've got a brand new publication that can be pushed out onto your Newsstand magazine. So that was my first sort of venture into a new area. And if people want to contact me, go to that website, because it's I think it's a lot better than the SAP focus. It's a lot more interesting.
All right. Well, thanks for that. Yeah, definitely. Nichespin.com. Go check that out. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Pete. He gave out some great information, and I'm very impressed by what he's been doing there. And it sounds like there's lots of opportunity, but you just need to take into consideration some things that are going on at Udemy in order to be able to take advantage of that. I hope you've enjoyed this interview. Be sure to thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.